Please walk back. Impact of changing environment on us and on our children. Where are we standing in this path? We have traveled lakhs of years. We may be left only with few decades of years of path. I am Dr. Shivu, pediatrician, Mysore. Visit www.slideshare.net for Dr. Shivu for articles and YouTube search Dr. Shivu P for videos on environment and health. Recharge soil water. This is my 17th published speech. As I said in my 16th speech, now onwards we will focus on artificial irrigation system which are evolved as an effort of humans to get and distribute water to the needy areas in the form of wells, tube wells, pipelines, canals, dams and reservoirs and so on. Recharge soil water. Still, the environment is going in a wrong path with lots of irrigation technology, with increase in the population in the form of increase in drought, flood, global warming, climate changes, as there is mismatch between the usage and recharge of soil water. So we need to walk back 21 steps to achieve the environmental parameters of first century. Please walk back. We have to walk back 21 steps to reach the environmental parameters of first century, like soil water content, soil organics, carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere, tree coverage on the land, atmospheric temperature. Yes, it is possible to achieve all these goals. It is possible only when the humans come out of their egos with the adoption of community, cooperative, universal organic farming and social forestry, with the aim to cover 50% land with the trees, including the trees which gives food for humans like fruits, and try to grow all the food items locally to decrease the need for transportation. The need is the water in the soil at all the places. In the absence of appropriate water content in the soil, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will not be converted into carbon mass, that is trees and plants. Plants and trees will not give food with good nutrition, even with good nutrients in the soil, without water, and vice versa. At present, more than enough carbon dioxide is present in the atmosphere. What is lacking is the appropriate quantity of soil water in all the places. To convert carbon dioxide into carbon mass, it is necessary to maintain appropriate organic content as well as water content in the soil. The irony is, we push water to the sea, which comes to us. We extract water meant for all the animals and plants until the soil water reaches zero. We happily quarrel among us for the water we see on the surface. Evaporation, surface flow, subsurface flow, and underground flow of water is quantity and time dependent. More water, more area of land, more time means better soil water. Better water content in the soil leads to better absorption of nutrients by the plants. This leads to better nutrients in the edible parts of plant and animal products. In turn, leads to better growth, repair, development, immunity, and less diseases related to deficiencies in humans. Providing water only to the topsoil by various techniques is like standing at the edge of the cliff and watching the scene in the front. These techniques may give some temporary benefits to the targeted plants, but it is not going to help plants, especially with long roots, and animals, including humans, in terms of oxygen generation and controlling climate changes in long term. It is because water molecules are very competitive and they flow over the surface, beneath the surface, deep into the ground by gravity, and evaporate depending upon the environmental temperature. If only few targeted plant gets water but not all the trees and plants, then carbon dioxide will not convert into carbon mass without appropriate quantity of water molecules. Carbon dioxide decides the environmental temperature, global warming and climate changes. Soil water decides the conversion of carbon dioxide to carbon mass. So, the requirement of water in TMC increases with individual requirement in multiplication with population. Rise in temperature through carbon dioxide accumulation in the atmosphere, rate of extraction and utilization of surface, subsurface, underground water decides the level of soil water. Soil water dynamics and kinetics through the soil decides the nutrient values of the food, oxygen level, water quality and temperature, which decides the health and diseases in humans. So we get drought and nutritional deficiency for the unaffordable class at present, and it may cover all the class of people with one step forward due to increased evaporation due to increased greenhouse gases, decreased percolation due to increased land conversion, developmental projects, concretization, urbanization, fast multiplication of villages due to population. So there is decreased essential nutrients in the food for humans due to decreased take-up of nutrients by the plants due to deficient flow solvent, that is water, and decreased water for long-rooted trees because of decreased underground water due to increased extraction through tube wells, leads to decreased growth velocity of the trees, leads to less conversion of carbon dioxide to carbon mass, leading to global warming and climate changes. Trees will grow slowly or will stop growing or will die in the absence of sufficient water. If the trees do not spread their roots, or if it dies, then more than million-year age-old topsoil will not stay at the top of the land, and the land will convert into desert, which had already happened at many places in the world. Fertile lands converting into deserts is the present progressive process, and it is rapidly covering more and more land with increase in population and with the lifestyle they follow. Please look at the lands converted into deserts. Think, where is the next? These are the real images captured by the satellites. Here we can appreciate the difference between the land with carbon mass, which looks green. So these are the lands with carbon mass which looks green. They are the forest and agriculture land, and the land without carbon mass which looks brown. So here you can see they are the They are in the process of desertification or already became the desert. Here, the northern, eastern and southern tip of African continent and most of the lands of Middle East countries is becoming the desert or already became the desert. In this satellite imaginary, we can see most of the Asian, here, European continent is becoming desert, especially some of the European countries, many parts of China and some parts of India. So here you can see, and here also it is becoming desert. In this satellite imaginary, we can see most lands of Australian continent is also becoming desert. See, you can see most part of the Australian continent is becoming desert in this picture. In this satellite imaginary, we can see many parts of North American continent and the western parts of South American continent is becoming desert. See, here you can see, and here also you can see. When the name deserts comes in India, don't think only the western Rajasthan. The process of drought and desertification is covering many parts of the western, central, southern India like Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So you can see the brownish part. See, here you can see some greenish area. Here you can see some greenish area. So some parts here, and here there is greenish area. See, the part which is becoming brown is becoming desert, and already full brown, it's already became the desert. So we have seen the lands covered converted into deserts. Where next? When we are going to realize is the question. Why this is happening? It is because of the activities of the most intelligent species on this earth, leading to many changes in the environment in a mathematical relationship. They can be calculated and can be expressed in numbers. Some of the grossly visible numbers and its relation to the life of living and to the environment are. So sometimes I have already spoken all these things in some of my previous videos. So let us brush. So this is rapidly increasing numbers with population growth and its impact on the environment. So the rapidly increasing numbers are population, number of houses, caste, quarrel among people, villages in India, cities and its size, gods and practices, cost of the condiments and materials, land utilized in the name of residences, migration, volume of waste and sewage water, number of registered vehicles, length of the roads, length of the railway tracks, police station, courts, poverty, malnutrition, usage of insecticides and pesticides, usage of chemical fertilizers, diseases and the treatment modes, atmospheric temperature, deforestation and desertification, number and depths of borewells, soil erosion, landslides, usage of petroleum products, traffic congestion, emission, pollution, flood and drought, natural disasters and global warming and climate changes. So all these things are rapidly increasing. So now let us look into the rapidly decreasing numbers with population growth and its impact on the environment. They are groundwater level, number of trees, per capita land, per capita forest land, per capita agriculture land. So, but the thing is, some of the numbers are never going to change. So, even with population growth, but still it will have its impact on the environment. That is, the volume of air we breathe is 500 ml per breath. Number of times we breathe is 20 times in a minute. Amount of oxygen we consume is 2.88 cubic meters or 8.4 pounds in a day, or 1050 cubic meters, or 3066 pounds in a year. Oxygen weighs 1.429 kilograms per cubic meters at standard atmospheric temperature and pressure. Total volume of air required to meet one day's breathing, that is 500 ml multiplied by 20 breaths multiplied by 60 minutes multiplied by 24 hours, is 14,400 liters. Total volume of oxygen required to meet one day's breathing is 100 ml per breath into 20 breaths multiplied by 60 minutes multiplied by 24 hours, that becomes 2880 liters, that is equal to 2.88 cubic meters. Total weight of 1 cubic meter of oxygen under standard atmospheric temperature and pressure is 2.92 pounds. The oxygen requirement per person per day becomes 2.88 meter cube multiplied by 2.92 pounds per meter cube, that is equal to 8.4 pounds per day, or 3066 pounds per annum. The weight of oxygen produced by one average size tree is 260 pounds per year. Number of average size trees needed to meet the oxygen need of 1% becomes 12. Average amount of carbon dioxide removed from the trees in 1 acre of thick forest per year is 2.6 tons. Weight of the carbon dioxide is 1.836 kilograms per cubic meters at standard atmospheric temperature and pressure. Volume of water we drink is 2 to 4 liters per day per adult person. Volume of water required for domestic purpose is 200 liters per day per person. Total volume of water required to meet domestic purpose and to grow the food we eat is 2000 liters per day per person, which excludes the water used in construction of the house where we live, in the manufacturing of the vehicles, equipments, furnitures and others we use in our day-to-day life. The food we eat is cereals 500, pulses 50 to 100, oil 50, milk 200, vegetables 200, fruits 200, sugar 40 to 50, salt 3 to 5 grams per day per person. Minimum area of land required to get the food we consume is 2500 square meters per person. Developed countries considers this as an 10,000 square meters. The yield we get from the unit area of land. For example, usual yield of paddy is 4 to 5 tons per hectare. Usual yield of wheat is 2.7 to 3.1 tons per hectare. Usual yield of ragi is 3.75 tons per hectare. Usual yield of green gram is 0.5 to 1 ton per hectare. Usual yield of tur dal is 2 to 4 tons per hectare, and so on. The land on the earth is never going to change. That is, in this entire world, 1483 lakh square kilometers are there. In India, it is 30 lakh square kilometers. About 29% of the earth's surface is land, consisting of continents and islands. The remaining 71% is covered with water. India's land in area in square kilometer was 29,73,190 in the year 1961 and 29,73,190 in 2015 as per the statistics. Molecules becomes molecules in the environment. Whether it is the individual human body or the larger cosmic body, essentially they are all made up of 5 elements or panchabhutas, that is earth, water, fire, air and akasha. Human body is nothing but the exchange of materials at a given point of time. That is, both physical and chemical molecules are atoms entering into the body and going out of the body. At the end, the molecules of the entire body is going to merge in these Panchabhutas. So let us look into the human population growth, and these numbers are increasing. So the population, world's present population is 8.1 billions. Now I think it is 8.4 billions. India's present population is 1.45 billions. That is, India became number one most populous in the world. We can see it was very much steady. After 18th century, it is rapidly increasing. So there is exponential increase in the population after 18th century. So the growth rate, let us look into the growth rate. So the growth rate was peak somewhere between 1950 and 1980. Now this growth rate is declining. So it took more than 2 lakh years of human history for the world population to reach first 1 billion mark in the year. So this is the 1 billion mark in the year 1800, and it is only 200 years more to reach. See, it is before this it is more than 2 lakh years. From 1800 to 2000, it's only now the thing is, now we are in almost 25, so now it is becoming 8.5 billions. So it took only 200 more years to become 8 billion population. So there will be more than 10 deaths for every one childbirth by the end of this century. See, the birth rate decreases, but the death rate increases. So imagining how and why this death rate is going to increase make me to feel bad and sad as a human, and some of our children may witness that situation. So now we can see it took more than 2 lakh years to reach 1 billion population. So in the year 1800 it was 2 lakh. So that means it took more than 2 lakh years to reach, that is in the year 1800, to reach 1 billion population. Now in the year 1927, after 123 years from 1800, it became 2 billion population. And next in the year 1960, after only 33 years, it became 3 billion population. Then in 1974, only after 14 years, it became 4 billion years. So 4 billion population. And next in the year 1987, after 13 years, it became 5 billion population. And next in the year 1999, after 12 years, it became 6 billion. Then in the year 2011, after 12 years, it became 7 billion population. Then in the year 2022, after 11 years, it became 8 billion. See, this is the population growth. This is one side of the coin. See, when we look the other side, see the population increasing like that. As the population is increasing, the demand on the environment is also increasing. Like the volume of oxygen in cubic meters, the number of trees in billions, quantity of food in billion tons, area of land required to grow the food in lakh square kilometers, area of forest land to provide oxygen to the people in lakhs kilometer square, water requirement for drinking and domestic purpose in TMCs, water requirement for growing food in TMC. See, all these things are increasing. With the population increase, these demands are also increasing. So the total requirement becomes per capita requirement multiplied by population. So there is a relation. The air, water, food, their quantity and land requirement, the relationship, let us see. India has 35 billion trees and 1.4 billion population. That is 25 trees per person, a low per capita trees. Oxygen is also required. We have already seen only for breathing of humans 12 trees are required. Oxygen is also required for breathing of all other animals. Trees also needs to supply oxygen for kitchen stoves, bathroom stoves, vehicles, factories and so on to serve the humans. Since the per capita tree is 25 in India, it becomes mandatory and crucial for all of us to understand early about the fact that we are very close to the danger levels of air quality. If the population increases and if the number of trees or the forest area decreases as it is happening with the present speed of development, then the per capita trees will decrease further and we will develop breathing difficulties due to low oxygen level in the inspired air. So let us look into the food what we eat. So this column is the food article, this column is the quantity in grams, this column depicts the water requirement to grow that quantity of food, and this column shows the land requirement to grow that quantity of food. That is, cereals we need 500 grams per day. For that 750 liters of water is required and 500 square meters of land is required. Pulses we eat 100 grams per day. To grow that we need 100 liters and 200 square meters of land is required. Vegetables we eat on an average 200 grams. So to grow that we need 200 liters of water, and to grow that we need 400 meters square area of land. Fruits 200 grams and 200 liters of water is required. 400 square meters of land is required. Oil and coconut 50 ml is the daily requirement. To grow that we need 50 liters of water and 400 square meters of land. Milk 200 ml we may be drinking, and for the cows 200 liters of water is required, and to grow the husk needed for the cows 200 square meters of land is required. Sugar we may be using around 30 grams in a day. To grow that we need 100 liters of water and 100 square meter area of land. Meat we may be eating about 100 grams in a day. So the animals on which we eat will require 150 liters of water, and for their graze they need 200 square meters of land. Spices we may be eating 15 grams. For that 50 liters of water is required and 100 square meters of land is required. Salt we may be consuming 5 grams. For domestic and drinking purpose, other than the growth of these things, we may require 200 liters of water. So the total amount of food an adult consumes is about 1400 grams in a day, and for that we need 2000 liters of water, and for that minimum 2500 square meters of land is required. So that is, to get an optimum nutrition we need 2000 liters of water per day per person on an average. Let us look into the group of food that we have already seen. So if we total this GIT requirement, the total weight of the food item in grams per day per person becomes 1400 grams. Total water requirement per day per person becomes 2000 liters. Total area of land required to meet the daily need of the food becomes 2500 square meters. So when we look into the present per capita land in India, it is only 2200 square meters. Present per capita forest land in India is only 500 square meters. So present per capita agriculture land in India is only 1250 square meters. Please note that the minimum land requirement only for food, excluding the land for air management and excreta digestion per person, is 2500 square meters. That means the land of India is already supporting double the strength of populations for its capacity. So now let us compare the developing countries with less population, developing countries with more population. So developed countries considers 10,000 square meters each for breathing, eating, digestion of excreta. So that means they consider at least 30,000 square meters of land per person. Developing countries with less population, they estimates 5,000 each for breathing, eating and digestion of excreta, that is total 15,000 square meters. Developing countries with more population, they expect at least 2,500 square meters for each for breathing, eating, digestion of excreta, that is total 7,500 square meters of land. But look at the scenario of India. See, when we look the forest land, that is we are having only 500 square meters of land per person for breathing. For eating, it's only 1250 square meters. For digestion of excreta, it is only 500. So the total land, if you take 30 lakh square kilometer divided by 1.4 billion population, including everything, the total land is only 2250 per capita land. So this is very dangerous situation. So now let us look into the composition of some different types of soil. Soil composition alters with the activities of the humans. Cutting trees and converting it into agriculture land is the step towards converting land into desert. It is also possible to convert desert into forest for better air, water, food and temperature. Now let us look into different soils. The soil of forest land, a normal soil, an agriculture soil, a drought soil, a desert soil. See, in forest soil, the soil inorganics will be around 40%. Okay, and the soil organics will be around 5 to 10%, and soil water will be around 30 to 40%, and soil air will be 10%. Whereas in a normal soil, the soil inorganics are 45%, soil organics are only 5%. Soil water is 25% and soil air is 25%. When we look into the agriculture soil, soil inorganics will be 50 inorganic content, organic content will be less than 4%. It may be, it vary. Soil water may vary between 15 to 20% and soil air is 25%. When we look into the drought soil, the soil inorganics will increase, that is 62%. Soil organics is less, 1 to 2%. Soil water is also less than 5%, and soil water becomes more, soil air becomes more, that is 30%. When we look into the desert soil, the soil inorganics is more, that is 62%. Organics are very less than 1%. Water is also very less, less than 2%, and soil air may be more. So that is, as we compare the forest soil, normal soil, agriculture soil, drought soil, desert soil, the soil inorganics will increase, the soil organics will decrease, the soil water content will also decrease, the soil air content will increase. See, these are it's an average value. Okay, so these are some of the observations that we can see in different soil. Food was growing naturally in the past. So what is the evidence? When the soil water content, soil nutrition and atmospheric temperature were all normal, the food articles like cereals, pulses, fruits, vegetables were growing naturally without formal farming. Now what is the evidence? This was happening even at the 12th century. Let us leave about 1st century. 1st century environmental parameters were still better. Okay, even at the 12th century, and the evidence we get through this vachana, that is, ಒಮ್ಮನವ ಮೀರಿ ಇಮ್ಮನದಲ್ಲಿ ತಂದಿರಿ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನವೋ ಬಸವಣ್ಣನ ಅನುಮಾನದ ಚಿತ್ತವೋ, ಈ ಮಾತು ಮಾರಯ್ಯ ಪ್ರಿಯ ಅಮರೇಶ್ವರ ಲಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಸಲ್ಲದ ಬೋನ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಯೇ ಸುರಿದು ಬನ್ನಿ ಮಾರಯ್ಯ. With this vachana of 12th century, we could correlate that people were just collecting the food articles and other edibles directly from the environment without formal farming. Environment was giving everything to all the humans and animals naturally. So people at that time were so environmental friendly, even collecting and storing more food articles, thus making the food to lose its freshness, and wasting the food was also a sin. When we look into the relationship between the soil, its nutritional status, its water content and health of the animals and humans, it's a vicious cycle which is responsible for life of every living being on this earth. The soil water content and the nutrition determines the status of the plant growth and its food production. In turn, the nutrition of the plant and the animal products determines the growth, repair, health of the animals and humans who consume these food products. The waste from these animals and humans before death and after death again reaches the soil. Better nutritional status determines the well-being and disease-free state of all the animals and humans when they are living. The waste products which are produced from these will again determine the soil, water and nutritional status, provided if there is no soil erosion. Food wastage increases the need of surface available potable water. Just to grow the food we eat and for domestic purpose, 2000 liters per person per day of water is required, that we have already seen. That is 2000 liters of water per person per day multiplied by 1.4 billion people of India multiplied by 365 days becomes 30,000 TMC of water. That is 30,000 TMC of water is the total water requirement for the people of India for their food and daily activity, which excludes the water requirement of all other animals, all the trees, manufacturing, construction and so on. If we do not distribute this volume of water to all the needy lands, or if we do not get adequate water to all the needy lands, then the quality of air, water, food decreases and the temperature will rise to cause global warming and climate changes with the emergence of diseases related to the same. The groundwater is also decreasing. This number is going deeper and deeper. Groundwater level, excess extraction of groundwater is to blame for 61% decline in the groundwater level in wells in India between 2017 7 to 17. This is according to the Central Groundwater Board under the Ministry of Water Resources. So here you can see the spring where the water is coming out from the soil. So this is the well. It's an underground water, and this is a dried well where there is depletion of underground water. Humans steal water from other animals and plants and quarrel among themselves. These numbers are increasing. Humans without their knowledge are responsible for recurrent floods and droughts. Humans become the experts in stealing most of the water which are meant for other animals and plants, like humans stealing water meant for deep-rooted trees through tube wells. Humans are throwing out the surface water from the land into the sea by altering the physiology of the soil, by converting land into concrete structures, box, drainages. Humans are occupying the banks of the natural water pathways. Thus, there is less width available for the surface water to come in contact with the soil. Thus, the surface water flows with increased depth and speed. Humans are emitting more greenhouse gases, creating global warming and increasing the process of surface water evaporations. So, humans are converting carbon mass into carbon dioxide by cutting trees. For example, India gets 60,000 TMC of surface water per annum both by raining and melting of ice, out of which people of India were using only 8,000 TMC of water. The plants, trees and other animals living in India were getting 52,000 TMC of water at the time of independence. But now, out of the same 60,000 TMC of water, the people of India are using 40,000 TMC of water, and the entire plants, trees and other animals living in India are getting only 20,000 TMC of water with poisonous sewage and sewage wastewater. So, trees are not growing faster, not taking up more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and they are dying gradually. We need not cut also for this. Thus, the lands are converting into desert, and this had happened in many places, parts of this world, and also in India, that you had seen in previous few slides. Tube wells leads to diseases and environmental hazards. These numbers are increasing. Landslides. Earth has a surface over which all the humans live by building buildings, riding the vehicles on asphalted roads. It has a subsurface soil rich in organic content and microbiota. So this is the surface, this is the subsurface. It took millions of years to form. Soil can release water to their lower end by gravity till their water content reaches as low as 2% and can store water in them as high as 90%, thus gaining their weight enormously. Deeper layers also contains soil and rocks with less organic content. So these are the deeper layers in them, but they may be rich in minerals. Water, the landslide and health hazard, these numbers are increasing. Water percolates from deeper layers of the soil into the tube wells. So from deeper layers which goes to the tube wells, which we extract regularly and the water flows regularly from these deep layers to the tube wells. So naturally from these two deep layers it flows to the tube wells. Thus the deep soil becomes less hydrated. So when it is flowing and we are extracting, this becomes empty, again it flows. So they become less hydrated and they become less sticky and they will weigh less. In the season of high atmospheric temperature, where the top soil loses their water content, these are the top soil, they lose their water content due to excessive evaporation. So evaporation happens from this phase. Surface and subsurface flow by gravity. So during summer season what happens? So there is evaporation, there is underground flow, there is subsurface flow, there is surface flow. So thus they also become, the top soil also becomes dry and weighs less by the end of summer season or dry season. Later in rainy season, this top soil suddenly gets excess water and gains excess weight due to excess raining. So because the rain is falling on the top soil, so they retain the water, so they gain excess weight due to excess raining, and there is retention of water over the dry, lighted, weighted, less sticky deep soil, but they have not still entered into the deep layers of the soil. So there is this heavy weighted topsoil will slide on the light weighted loose dry deep soil in the absence of thick forest, where the roots of the trees passes through and through superficial and deep layers of the soil to prevent landsliding, especially where there is inclination. Excess extraction of underground water not only takes out the water from the deep layers of the soil, it also decreases the growth velocity of the big trees. The roots will not grow, dries up, dies, and will not be able to support the topsoil when the topsoil gains more weight. So this is the satellite imaginary, shows how deadly the landslide swept through settlements and washed away hundreds of buildings in Wayanad, comparing before and after the landslide. Heavy rain collapsed parts of the hillsides. A torrent of mud, water, and rocks were sent tumbling down below. There were no settlements until about 2 kilometers out downhill. Based on the recent satellite imagery, Reuters identified buildings that appear to have washed away. There are about 215 buildings washed away. So the video courtesy is Reuters. So India is an import dependent nation. These numbers are increasing. Overall food requirement for India, it is cereals 70 crore kilograms, pulses 14 crore kilograms, oil 7 crore liters, milk 28 crore liters, vegetables 28 crore kilograms, fruits 28 crore kilograms, sugar 7 crore kilograms, salt 0.7 crore kilogram is the daily requirement. More than half of this requirement is imported, as we do not have the land sufficient enough to grow this, and we do not have the needed water to the needy lands at the needy time, even though the flood water reaching the sea in few weeks of time. This import can stop at any time. With increase in the population of the exporting nation, money and power may not fetch the food. Snatching the food may become prominent in the future. How climate change is happening? See, the warming of the planet impacts the local and regional climates. Throughout Earth's history, climate has continuously changed. When occurring naturally, this is a slow process that has taken place over hundreds and thousands of years. The humans influenced climate changes that is occurring at a faster and much faster rate. See, we are emitting lot of greenhouse gases. So when we look into there is 14% emission from transportation of fuels, 16.8% from industrial process, power stations about 21.3%, waste disposal and treatment leads to 3.4% of greenhouse gases, and 10% from land use and biomass burning, 10.3% from residential, commercial and other sources, 11.3% from the fossil fuel retrieval, processing and distribution, and 12.5% from agricultural byproduct. This is how the greenhouse gases are produced from various segments. So out of that, the carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, they are the major greenhouse gases. So various like power station produce 29.5% of the carbon dioxide, and fossil fuels retrieval 8.4 produces 8.4% of carbon dioxide, and land use and biomass burning is producing 9.1% of carbon dioxide. Residential, commercial and other sources are producing 12.9% of carbon dioxide. Vehicle transportation are producing 19.2% of carbon dioxide emission. Industrial processes are producing 20.6% of carbon dioxide. Whereas methane, the larger quantity is from agricultural byproducts, that is about 40%, and fossil fuel retrieval and processing and distribution is the second largest producer of methane, that is 29.6%, and 18% is from waste disposal and treatment, 6.6% is from land use and biomass burning, and 4.8% is from residential, commercial and other sources. When we look into the nitrous oxide production, the major producer of nitrous oxide greenhouse gas is the agricultural byproducts, that is 62%, and the next major contributor is the land use and biomass burning. So the total 72% of the total greenhouse gas is made up of carbon dioxide only, and 18% of the total greenhouse gas is made up of methane, and 9% of the total greenhouse gases is made up of nitrous oxide. So when we look into the total this is the carbon dioxide is almost 82% it comes, methane 10%, nitrous oxide 6%, fluorinated gases will come around 3%. These are the composition of greenhouse gases present in the atmosphere. What happens with global warming and climate changes? These numbers are increasing. Climatic changes are characterized by extreme weather events accompanied by increase in the prevalence of droughts, heat waves, extreme rainfall, floods, dryness, water scarcity, dust storms, tropical cyclones, typhoons or hurricanes, wildfire, melting of snow, disappearance of river delta and coastal cities, in addition to the environmental changes such as habitat fragmentation, bushmeat consumption, urbanization, deforestation. So the negative effects of global warming and climate changes on human health are largely underestimated. It is estimated that 34% of all childhood illnesses and 36% of young children's deaths worldwide are linked to changes in the environmental factors. Some common examples of emerging and re-emerging diseases infecting humans, animals, and both were listed. The list includes bovine spongiform encephalopathy, campylobacteriosis, Chagas disease, cholera, cryptococcosis, cryptosporidiosis, cyclosporidiosis, cysticercosis, dengue fever, diphtheria, drug-resistant infections, that is antimicrobial resistance, Ebola, hemorrhagic fever, Escherichia coli infection, Group B, Streptococcus, hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, Hendry virus, hepatitis C, histoplasmosis, HIV, AIDS, influenza, Lassa fever, Legionellas disease, leptospirosis, listeriosis, Lyme's disease, malaria, Marburg hemorrhagic fever, measles, monkeypox, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, Nipah virus, norovirus, pertussis, plague, poliomyelitis, rabies, Rift Valley fever, rotavirus, salmonellosis, severe acute respiratory syndrome, shigellosis, sleeping sickness, that is trypanosomiasis, smallpox, tuberculosis, tularemia, valley fever or coccidioidomycosis, vancomycin intermediate or vancomycin resistant Staphylococcus aureus, West Nile virus and yellow fever. These are mainly insect-borne, airborne, waterborne and foodborne diseases. Lessons taught by emerging infectious disease to the humans. Extreme or persistent changes in temperature, precipitation, humidity and air pollution associated with climate changes can, for example, expand the size of emerging infectious disease reservoirs, increase host pathogen and cross-species host contact to promote transmission or spillover events, and degrade the overall health of susceptible host population, leading to new emerging infectious disease outbreaks. Several additional pathogens are also considered capable of producing emerging infectious disease outbreaks, including Escherichia coli, hantavirus, dengue virus, West Nile virus, while malaria, tuberculosis, cholera and influenza are often considered re-emerging diseases with the potential for new outbreaks. Cloud, surface, subsurface, underground water are not administrative border specific. Natural water pathways are not border specific. They extend beyond the borders of states or nations. For effective management of surface water, region-specific surface water management is required. To prevent global warming, both local and global management of surface water is necessary. To increase the soil water content up to 25% across all the land, so that all the trees will take up more water with the nutrition from the soil and will be able to absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Thus the carbon concentration in the atmosphere is going to decrease. Surface flow of water is what we see. Not only the river water but also the soil water and the underground water reaches the sea through subsurface flow and underground flow. That is, ultimately all the water is going to reach the sea by gravity by different routes. Increase in population led to increase in surface and underground water utilization, led to decrease in the soil water content, which is the principal molecule for prevention of global warming. So it is the need of the hour to manage the surface water in such a way that the soil water has to reach 25% everywhere. See, let us consider an example. Hyderabad is the city which lies between 450 to 650 meters above the mean sea level. At 550 meters above mean sea level, it receives water not only from the land of Telangana. So it also receives the water from the lands of Maharashtra and Karnataka. So the red line depicts the land at the level of 450 meters and the yellow line depicts, so this is the red line. All these lands are at the level of 450 meters above the mean sea level. This is the yellow line. The land adjacent to this yellow line are about 650 meters above the mean sea level in this satellite imaginary. And Hyderabad is about 550 meters above the mean sea level. Here we can see the pink line running for long distance at the level of 850 meters. So this is 850 meters above. The yellow line is 650 meters above the mean sea level and the red line is 450 meters above the mean sea level. And these are the land. Okay, if we create a canal, it also connects the adjacent rivers one by one. So this is the red line, okay, which is starting from the Aravalli hills to the Cardamom hills of Kerala. So some depressions are there in between at Narmada river basin and between Coimbatore and Palakkad area and all. But this flat land connects at the level of 450 meters above the mean sea level. This yellow line is at the level of 650 meters above the mean sea level. And this pink line is at so this pink line you are going to see first, that is at 850 meters above the mean sea level. This one, this yellow line at 650 meters and the red line is at 450 meters above the mean sea level. So thus it is possible to create a flat canal for thousands of kilometers at the same land level, collecting water from all the rivers from above, spreading that water to all the flat canal, and will be able to distribute the water to all the land below the canal level, making the flood prone area to escape from the flood to the possible extent and providing water to all the drought prone areas to the extent needed. Thus we can make all the present streams, rivers, canals, that is all the natural and artificial waterways, to flow as per our requirement, and thus we can increase the soil water level to more than 25%. Here we can see some of the plans in distributing the available surface water, like is Ganga river elevator, Ganga upper canal, Ganga U-tube, Yamuna upper canal, Yamuna U-tube, flat primary canal at 450 meters above the mean sea level, and then flat primary canal at 650 meters above the mean sea level, and flat primary canal at 850 meters above the mean sea level, and their west extension and east extension. So with this we can utilize most of the surface water, and we can distribute this flood prone water to all the drought prone areas, and thus we can raise the soil water content to 25%, which not only helps people for domestic purpose. It also will be helpful for agriculture purpose, and most likely the thing is it will provide water to all the trees, so that the growth velocity of the trees will go up, will increase, and thus the global warming is going to decrease. So sometimes we may not be able to get some flat lands. During that time we can go for some of the civil engineering structures, like so it may be a river elevator, it may be a canal elevator, U-tube, by dam, and we can see there are different types of canals we can do. A canal with inclination, a flow based canal, an inclining canal, or a flat canal where the starting point, the entire course and the end are all at the same level. So all these things we can create, and so we can distribute. So that is through some of the civil engineering structures like river elevator, canal elevator, water U-tubes, by dams, direct canal connectors, underground canals, aqueducts, local management of surface water, of course with the help of surface canals, which may be in declining or flat canals, creating at different land levels like 450, 650, 850 meters above the mean sea level. With this we will be able to distribute the available surface water to all the soil, so that the soil water becomes 25% or even more. So thus it is possible to utilize most of the surface water available to make the soil water content to reach 25% to support the life of all the plants, trees, animals, including humans. With this we can prevent the flood to the possible extent and drought to the maximum extent. This helps the nature to increase the carbon mass on the surface of this earth by the fusion of the carbon dioxide with water molecules, and thus we can prevent global warming and climate changes and related diseases. It is possible to create the flat canals through satellite based reticular canal system survey, in which we can select convenient, continuous, flat, long strip of land at the same land level above the mean sea level for creating flat canal, and we can make the water to flow from the place where it is excess to the place where it is deficient. It is possible to utilize the surface water effectively without constructing any new big dams, but with canals only. So these are the flat canals. Okay. So there is a Chikka Hagari and Pennar rivers, and their level is about 500 meters above the mean sea level. So we can create a flat strip of land plus or minus 2 meters above the mean sea level, that is 502 to 498 meters above the mean sea level. So in the next so here you can see that so let us look into the example. Chikka Hagari and Pennar are the adjacent rivers. Let us identify the river levels at 500 plus or minus 2 meters above the mean sea level. Then identify the strip of land between the adjacent rivers at the same land level. We may be getting sometimes 5000 meters or more width strip of land, or sometimes maybe less. In that flat land, we can create 100 to 120 meters width flat canal for distributing water to maintain 25% soil water. Flat canal system is not a new thing. It's already there on this earth at many places. Let us look into some of the already existing flat canal examples. So this is Narmada River, Sardar Sarovar. Let us look into the Narmada River main canal, which is originating from Sardar Sarovar Dam, constructing across River Narmada, constructed between 1987 and completed in 2017. So once again, see, this is it's about 100 meters above the mean sea level. So it's a flat canal running at 100 meters of mean sea level. This flat canal course of Narmada main canal running at the level of 100. So starting from Sardar Sarovar till here, okay, this is the canal course. So this entire canal from starting from Sardar Sarovar here till here, okay, so it's at the same level, that is 100 meters above the mean sea level. There are many more examples for the flat canal. For example, in Karnataka, the Vishvesvaraya canal originating from Krishnarajasagara dam at the level of 735 meters above the mean sea level. It was constructed and the canal were created between 1911 to 1931, where there was no satellite imaginary support was available at that time. See, this is the Krishnarajasagara. This is the origin of Vishvesvaraya canal. So there is a long way. Vishvesvaraya canal has an underground canal course also for 3 kilometers from here till here. This is the entry of the water canal, the underground water canal. This is the exit, and these 3 kilometers are underground, where the point of entry, the entire course of the canal and the exit of the underground canal are all at the same level at 375 meters above the mean sea level in continuation of the proximal course of the canal. So this is the course of Vishvesvaraya canal, where it runs for more than 75 kilometers at the same land level of 735 meters above the mean sea level. This gives a great hope for planning more longer flat canals to distribute water to all the needy drought prone areas to meet the needs of all the people, animals, plants and trees with this increase in population, and to save this Mother Earth as it is. So Krishnarajasagara provides water to more than 50,000 hectares of land in Mandya and Mysore districts, apart from providing water for many cities and towns for domestic purpose. So this is Krishnarajasagara, and it runs, this is the underground water level, and it has been created and planned and created by Sri Sir M. Vishvesvaraya. So if we are not maintaining 25% soil water, then we may be facing some a few problems in the future, and they are all the bitter truths. So apple will not be the apple, banana will not be the banana, carrot will not be the carrot, and so on, if we make the soil to lose its water and nutrient contents. So to maintain the normal taste, nutrition, so it is very much essential to maintain the water content of the soil which was there in the first century of mankind. Diseases directly depends on the dimensions and determinants of the air, water, food and temperature which comes in contact with us. So the air, water, food and temperature which comes in contact with us directly decides about the diseases and their dimensions and determinants. Coconut trees are ready to provide tender coconut water to all of us. Or we the people are ready to maintain 25% soil water at the place where this tree stands. One question to all of us: which water is going to save the trees, the plants, the animals, humans on this land directly? The answer is, it is not the sea water, it is not the river water, it is not the dam water, it is not the rain water, it is the soil water which saves all these living things on this earth, although all these are interdependent. So, please target 25% soil water, more than TMCs of water in the dams and reservoirs. Today's tube well water may become the poison tomorrow, and today's surface water may become the storehouse of infectious diseases tomorrow if we make the soil not to retain its quota of water in terms of quantity. What we think right today may be wrong tomorrow. Today's development and progress may be tomorrow's injury to the life and to the earth, and it may be the end. To save this earth for us and for our children, it is not enough if we think only for next 5, 10 or 20 years. We have to think about the consequences in long term. Open up the mind. The solution lies inside the problem. Present problems and solutions for the same. We have poisoned the air we breathe. We have water we drink, food we eat. So the solution is stop poisoning all this. We have stolen the water meant for all the plants and animals by extracting excess water. So the solution is to recharge the soil with water before we use it. We have prevented the soil to preserve its nutrition by promoting its soil erosion. So the solution is prevent soil erosion to enhance the nutrients in the food, to prevent the diseases of deficiencies. We are inducing fever, global warming for the planet Earth, and it promotes emerging and re-emerging diseases to increase. So the solution is walk back and bring the atmospheric temperature back to the first century and escape from the consequences of global warming and climate changes. So please don't go forward and fall at the edge of the cliff. Please preserve the existence of humans on the surface of this earth by going back to the past in terms of compatible qualities of air, water, food and temperature of the environment. Getting all this for all of us is the development, which needs community, cooperative, universal organic agriculture and forestry. It is not possible to expect few changes even with a rise in population. As the population rises, it is not possible to breathe less to save air for others. It is not possible to drink less to save water for others. It is not possible to eat less to save food for others. Trees and plants will not release more oxygen as they cannot see more people. More weight of the food does not mean there is more needed nutrients in it. Yield from the unit area of land will not rise manifold as the land is not able to sense more people. Nutrition in the food will not rise in the absence of nutrients in the soil as it does not have the mind. People will not have the kindness to give plants. Plants will not have the kindness to give poison-free food when they are getting varieties of poison and harmful chemicals from all the angles as it does not have the heart. Plants also suffer and plant tissues dies with human activities. So the basic obligatory needs of life for health. So health basically depends on air, water, food and temperature. So that is the air we breathe, food we eat, water we drink, temperature we sense. All these things determines the health is determined by normal growth, development, memory, repair, defense, and appropriate immunity. That's what we need to have for a good health. To preserve planet Earth in a healthy state, to get good air, raise thick forest cover on the land at least to 35%. To get nutritious healthy food, raise soil organics to at least 5%. To get needed water, raise soil water content to at least 25%. To maintain optimum temperature, prevent soil erosion with the trees at the needy lands. So not one component can save the people on this planet. All these are components which are interdependent, which leads to healthy planet Earth with healthy humans. So the take-home message is defining development for human existence. It is the need. God is thinking where the people are going. So the definition of development is breathing cleaner air forever, drinking clean water directly from the environment but not from the bottles, eating food which is poison free, gives complete nutrition and enhances positive health, not only for affordable class of people but for all at all the times, sensing optimum temperature even in the absence of air conditioning. So the solution is recharge soil water to 25% in every land. So we need to recharge soil water. In my next speech, I will be speaking about the environmental changes causing emerging and re-emerging emergence of new diseases, and later how artificial waterways, that is the man-made canals created artificially to utilize the available surface water to the maximum over the lands like reticular canal system works synergistically with all the present natural and artificial irrigation system in providing to all the lands dependent on them to make the soil water to reach 25% and above, and to convert greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide into carbon mass like trees in preventing global warming and climate changes. But the planet Earth will not be able to support a number of population. I am requesting the people of this world, the leaders and the scientists who work in this aspect to consider my thoughts on our environment, which I have delivered through my published speeches, to save this world intact, and the leaders to do the needful for the same. I am requesting all the leaders of this world to utilize these thoughts to prevent desertification in their respective countries, thus participate in the process of saving this world even for our younger generation. If you like this, then you please subscribe my channel and share with your friends, relatives and family members till it reaches all the leaders of this world to take necessary measures so that this world remains as it is for a number of years. Thanks once again. These are the references. Thank you. Once again, I am Dr. Shivu, pediatrician from Mysore. My phone numbers are 7892501891. WhatsApp number is 94484777380. Visit www.slideshare.net by Dr. Shivu for articles, and YouTube search Dr. Shivu P for videos on environment and health. Thank you.